So have you ever thought this meeting could have been an email, or here's an hour of my time I'll never get back, or I've got so many meetings and emails that I can't do any work? This is a big problem actually, particularly in middle management. You can seem like emails and meetings are taking your whole day. And if you're doing that, then you're not doing what you should be doing, which is planning ahead, creating strategies, managing the health and well-being of your team, or producing actual output. Organizations can get into a habit or a culture of just sending and replying to emails and setting unfocused meetings which have no real purpose. And if you don't like that, you have to break that, because nobody else is going to. It's just part of the culture, and if you don't do it, it just feeds and grows endlessly, and you'll become part of the problem. So you have to control what you're doing and react, how you react to what's incoming. So one of the reasons that emails and phone calls and communicators can cause inefficiency is due to task switching, also called context switching. You can look online, there's many studies for this, differing in terms of what the percentage of problem is, but what's clear is that most of us are most effective when we fully focus on a task, and when we do that for a sustained period. If a distraction comes along, even if we don't spend a long time dealing with it, it can take a long time to come back to 100% focus on the original tasks. So that's inefficient. You're losing efficiency by distracting yourself halfway through. So the key is to generate an environment where you have minimum distractions. Part of that is choosing the right communication channel. So if you think the quickest way of having communication with someone is walking to their desk, if you're in an office, and having a physical one-to-one discussion. And you can convey some information, and you can convey your body language, which is an important key for humans. If you aren't in an office or in the same site, then a voice call or a video call is the next best thing. You don't get quite the same body language, but it's still very quick, very direct. Messengers or communicators or text, they might seem quick, but they're not actually quick. And the reason why is that the average person speaks at about 130 words per minute, whereas the average person types at 65 words per minute. So it's much slower to wait for someone to respond to your message and then respond back. So messengers, communicators, and text in the business context should only be really used for setting other meetings or getting very short yes-no confirmations. Emails are great for sending attachments with huge amounts of information for someone to read at their leisure, but they're really, really bad for getting quick responses, because you have no control over when someone's going to read or reply to that. Group meetings are really, really good for transmitting huge amounts of information and body language, but they're very slow because you have to arrange them in advance. You have to get everyone together, get a venue, all of these sorts of things. And recorded video is a very good alternative for this if it's not a group discussion, if it's a one-way cascade of information. And since the pandemic, many companies have realized that things like all-team meetings, which aren't really meetings, they're just one-way, are better as recorded video that the employees can watch at any time that suits them. Which channel you use probably depends a little bit on your personality type. So introverts like to think quietly and calmly and then give all their information in one go, and that's kind of email or maybe messenger, and it's very much not phone calls and meetings. Extroverts are the opposite. Extroverts think as they talk. So for extroverts, a phone call or a physical meeting is the best. So there can be a little clash of personality types in choosing which type of communication. But choosing which channel of communication is also dependent on other factors, such as if you're not working in your native language, it's much easier to have an email or a written text or even a recorded video where you can slow down and pause and do the translation at your own pace. Or if you have some problem with hearing or seeing, then alternative communication channels may be better for those people. But in the best case situation where everyone's native language speaking and you have the choice of all those different types of communication, if you need a quick answer, the best is physical one-to-one discussion at someone's desk very quickly. Next is maybe a voice or a video call, or if it's very, very short, communicator, messenger, or text. If you need to share a lot of information, then like I said, recorded video or an email with an attachment. If you need to have a collaborative two-way discussion where you're working through a problem, group meetings are best, or as a second best in remote situations, a voice or a video call. And of course, if you need to have traceability or authorization or proof, an email is the only real way that you can have that. But you shouldn't think that emails are going to cover yourself if you make a mistake. A lot of people send emails to try and cover themselves, and that's a terrible idea. You also have to think, does your job require you to be on call to respond to emails or calls quickly? And when I say quickly, I mean like within the hour. So most companies, most people, most of the time expect that if you send an email, you're maybe going to get a response within the day, maybe very quick responses within the same morning or afternoon, but most of the time it's within a couple of days or a week. But yet we receive an email and we feel a gut need to respond quickly. And that's not actually the purpose of email, that's the purpose of phone calls or face-to-face meetings. So why do we try and disturb our rhythms like that? We shouldn't, is the answer. And what you should try and do is organize your day so that you can remove that type of gut reaction. So one thing that I do is I block my calendar with 15 to 30 minute segments, first thing in the morning when I come in, just before or after lunch, and last thing before I go home. And apart from those times, I either don't look at my email or I close my email completely, so that it's not a possible distraction. And then because of those timings, I have enough time to, if there is something that's relatively urgent, I can respond to it. It's important when you do that block planning to also include time for thinking and preparing your own tasks. And if you do that, then someone looking at your calendar can see really when you're busy, and hopefully choose a really free spot. But also it helps you realize how much time you need to do the things that you need to do. Otherwise, you can get to the end of the day and realize that actually you don't have time for thinking or doing actual producing work. For emails, also a good tip is to prioritize your inbox. So your inbox, you can set subfolders, and I don't mean subfolders that you're going to archive mail away. I mean in your inbox as subfolders. And then you can use rules to automatically move new emails from people or with certain keywords into those subfolders automatically. So for example, there could be a subfolder for newsletters or auto-produced reports or from certain people. And then if those rules are working, then whatever's in your inbox is really the most urgent things that you need to deal with. Also, a good tip is to structure your emails. So in the subject line, include a header, such as for information or a deadline with a date. And then at the top of the email, after you say hello, before you write anything else, put some bullet points with who needs to do what actions, and highlight the names of the people who need to do those actions. Then anyone reading that email knows, okay, this is what I need to do, and then can check the rest of it for background information. Also, using bullet points and short sentences, this is generally good advice. It's not a conversation, it's a document, but it's particularly good, again, if you're dealing with people who are non-native language speakers. And only send emails to those who need it. There's a kind of endemic that comes in corporations sometimes, that people just keep adding people to the address lists or CC, and there's no need for that. It really, if someone feels that it should go to someone else, they'll forward it to that person. But really only put it to the people that you really need to send it to. I was really bad at this. I used to send horribly long emails, and it was a real effort to try and change this, but it is really beneficial. And if you do this, other people might do the same. Also remember, when you don't want to be disturbed, reserve the time in your calendar, close your email client and Teams and Skype or anything like that, put them to do not disturb at least, put your phone on silent or put it in airplane mode, it's even better, and go into a meeting room or go to a cafe, or just, if you're at home office, just close the door. And you need to make the time and space for the condition that's going to be most beneficial for you. And finally, also, if you get a meeting invite and you don't know what the topic or the agenda are, you don't know what the expected output is, you don't know what your contribution could be, or you see that there's another person from your team attending, you should just decline the meeting. Or at a minimum, you should clarify those points before you accept the meeting. You might feel uncomfortable. I feel uncomfortable if I'm rejecting someone's meeting. I feel like someone's invited me for a reason, but if I can't answer those questions, there's no reason for me to be there. And it's better than wasting my time is maybe making someone a bit annoyed that you rejected their email. You should make time for regular discussions with your team to check their well-being and for your boss so that they can check your well-being. But that's a different matter. So just to recap, choose the right communication method, and usually email and communicator isn't it. Have a system and a routine, prioritize what's important, structure your output, create an environment that's free of disturbances, and occasionally just say no to meetings. I hope that's useful. Thanks very much.